Hello, everyone, and good afternoon to you. Um, Thanks a lot for logging in today for the Vinculum webinar, where we talk about the secret behind optimizing logistics for D2C brands. In today's session, we have expert panelists who represent organizations which are completely changing the game for customer experience post-purchase customer experience for brands. And I would like to welcome them on the panel. The first one is Ankita Singh. She's a senior manager business development for ClickPost. ClickPost is essentially a logistics intelligence platform for enterprise, and it's today processing more than 10 million orders per month. There are some stats which I have lifted from their website, and what the platform promises is reduction of cost to serve by 15%, reduce RTOs by 20%, and improve efficiencies by 300%. Ankita is an MBA from ISP, and she comes with a very, very rich background of e-commerce, retail, logistics, airlines, consumer electronics, and healthcare. So I don't think, Ankita, you've left too much. So thank you so much for joining us today, and it's a real pleasure having you on board with us.
Thank you, Rachna, for the lovely introduction. Glad to be a part.
So just one quick question before I move on to Rohit. So ClickPost promises to reduce the RTO by 20%. So essentially e-commerce is somewhere around 30% RTO, right? So what is it that's the promise to brands that if I were to adopt ClickPost, what will be that RTO now? Will it be somewhere in the range of 10 to 15%? What is that how you promise it?
We actually don't promise numbers, but yeah, we basically promise a better or a more suited, operations part, so that brands are able to manage their failed deliveries. We've seen that typically failed deliveries are the leading cause of RTOs. So we help in managing that, and the reduction is, different for different brands. It depends on what kind of technology they have, what operations or what products they are selling, and what kind of customers they are reaching. So that is completely different. But yeah, typically this is the kind of reduction that we have seen with the kind of customers that we are working with.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. So our next guest on the panel is Rohit Gupta from Shadowfax Technologies, which is India's largest platform for hyper-local delivery. Again, just lifting some numbers from their website, Shadowfax is essentially enabling around 20 million deliveries across 700 cities in India, covering around 7,000 pin codes and growing. That's big number. In fact, I was just doing my own research on the total number of pin codes in India. That's close to 18 to 19,000. India Post perhaps has the biggest coverage, but for Shadowfax to have around 36 to 40% of the coverage, that's absolutely phenomenal. Rohit is a business management graduate from IIM Lucknow and also has an engineering background in computer science. He drives business development and strategy for Shadowfax and has worked for brands like Myntra in the past. So thanks, Rohit, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks, Rachna, for the introduction, and great to be a part of this discussion today.
Yeah, thank you. A very short introduction on myself. So I'm Rachna Prasad. I head marketing, inside sales and alliances for Vinculum. I have around 25 years of experience. I've worked across sectors. Vinculum was my first bet into SaaS, and here I am hosting, and I'm going to be the moderator for today. Honestly speaking, this is since the pandemic. This must be one of the nth webinars that I am essentially conducting, and it's just phenomenal how the whole world of retail has actually changed ever since the pandemic struck. And things that we were discussing last year is already become completely vintage when we speak about it this year. And the pandemic has actually accelerated the need to adopt tech-enabled solutions. So we now have demands coming from prospects because they want to quickly adopt to new technology so that they can serve their customers much better. D2C specifically is a 100 billion opportunity by 2025. That's what they're saying. You'll have around 800 brands, but I think that's a big lie because in my opinion, it's going to be much more than 800 brands because each time I go and even look into my Insta handle, I come across 10 new brands each time. So it has to be more than 800 brands. But one of the key levers for its growth that people have identified is what we call the post-purchase experience. which according to the Delivery Delight Index, which is published by Shadowfax in partnership with Redseer, covers 4 aspects. The first is the speed of delivery. The second is the pre-delivery experience. The third is the during delivery experience and the post-delivery experience. That's the and when I just and thanks Rohit for sharing that with me before this webinar. And when I was just going through that report, I realized that amongst champions in this year's Delivery Delight Index, and out of the 14, 5 are the ones who've retained positions from the pre-pandemic times. So that's not something which caught my eye. What really caught my eye was that there are 9 new entrants, and these are perhaps brands. Some of them I had not even known earlier. And what it really means is brands are trying much harder to optimize this stretch of the value chain. In fact, there is some survey that has been conducted amongst people who've been adopted, who adopted, online shopping, and 58% of them actually turned around and said that the post-purchase experience is essentially the one which will make a reason why I would go for a repeat purchase. So clearly, very, very important topic that we're going to be discussing today. So let's deep dive on this a little bit and understand what are brands doing and how can technology enable this. So just a little bit of hygiene before we go to the question. The first is we have an hour for discussion. Last 15 minutes will be available to the audience for Q&A. And during the session, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. My colleague Sakshi will serve them at the end of the session. So let's begin. So my first question essentially is around a use case. And again, it's a very personal use case. And so I started personally online shopping in 2011. And that was a time when Amazon had not entered India, and Flipkart was still starting to sell books. And one credible platform that time was Fashion Week, okay, which is no longer there right now. But each time I ordered something, a typical delivery time for the package to reach me would be around 20 to 25 days. In today's situation, this has completely changed. We also get same-day delivery. We sometimes get 1 day. We get 48 hours, but it's typically at every stage of the delivery process, the customer is, the brand handholds the customer, and they essentially know where my packet is, and they can know exactly where, in how much time the thing is going to be reaching us. So as a shopper today, things have totally changed. And I just wanted to ask both of you, what are the points of intervention that your technology has enabled in order to enhance this consumer experience? So maybe I would start with, say, Rohit, and then after that, Ankita.
Sure. So a very interesting question, Rachna, and it actually takes us back to how we actually started thinking about this problem in the first place, right? And very rightly mentioned that earlier, I think the expectation used to be that if I'm ordering something online, if I'm getting it, I'm happy, right? The point that it is taking X number of days was not really a consideration as well. So I think what has changed with in the market is that people have actually gone back to the first principles and questioned each and everything, right? So for example, a Delhi to Mumbai, if you're traveling by a train, right, you will probably take 36 hours or 48 hours, right? Now, why should your packet take 10 days from Delhi to Mumbai? I think that is where the discussion, that is where the thought process started, right? And when we and others started looking at it, what we realized is that it is ultimately about digitizing the overall process and times the delays used to happen because everything used to run on a manual handover process, right? Be it pick up from a particular place, maybe you needed to just one second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think just looking at each and every process, be it handover at the origin, be it the way it is connected to a city, the way it is taken up at the destination and attempted, right? So ultimately, first of all, it was just about going back to the first principles and really cutting out all the unproductive time, right? And the way it has happened is that everything has moved to a tech stack and there is complete tracking available for each and every shipment in the network today. Where is it getting stuck? If a particular shipment is stuck at a place for more than a day, there are red alerts which just sound everywhere, right? So that is just technology in action, right? Where we have actually gone at a shipment level and started scanning each and everything, right? Just to add to it, data science and analytics has also played a very, very key part there. So it is actually, so we talk a lot about using machine learning, doing self-training of systems, right? So I think logistics is one area where it is very, very clearly visible. I'll give you a simple example, right? Address quality is a big problem in our country today, right? What we have realized is that there is a particular area where I do multiple deliveries every day, right? Let's say it is a building. I know that in a building there is an apartment gate which is there at a particular place, which is an entry to the society. Now, just basis my data sciences, I will know that for a particular building, this is the point at which most of the deliveries are taking place, right? So although the address would say some XYZ apartment number, but my delivery partner would be told that he needs to be there and the delivery would happen there. Otherwise, the delivery partner used to spend a lot of time just locating an address, right? So it is ultimately data science in action, right? Where all your past history is actually letting you know that this is where the delivery is supposed to happen. And the accuracy of delivery and the delivery conversion increases by 10 to 15 percentage points just by a simple intervention like this, right? And there are like lots and lots of examples, right? India is a difficult country. There are addresses are not correct, routes are not well defined. But what we've realized is that there is a very, very strong network effect. The better we use our analytics, the better we use the data sets which we have around successful and unsuccessful deliveries, it plays a big part in increasing the speed and increasing the accuracy of it, right? So it is something maybe 1 year later, we would be talking about even faster speeds where we are today, right? And it will all be driven by technology with hardly any manual interventions, right? So I think that is what it has been, and I see that it is a continuously evolving system.
Okay, great, great. So what is your, take on this, Ankita?
Yeah. So over here, I think the customer's expectations, like Rohit mentioned, questioning the first principles. The customers' expectations are continuously evolving. They want multiple delivery options, multiple payment options, and everything like that. Now, talking from brand's point of view, how a brand can basically make sure that they, meet the customer's expectations. I'll talk from ClickPost point, like what exactly ClickPost has done in this particular area. So we have seen that, even before a customer makes a purchase, when they are just a visitor on the D2C website or the app, they typically want to know the delivery information. They want to know when exactly it can reach, what are the different options they have, whether COD is supported or not and all. So this is again something that comes even before the purchase, that is the pre-purchase part. This is again something that ClickPost can help. So this is one area where ClickPost, provides technology. It will check the logistics partners of brands and then mention the estimated date of delivery for that particular product on the order page itself. Apart from that, mentioning other details like whether COD is supported or not, or whether a reverse is available on that PIN code or not. So this is a technology intervention that ClickPost provides for brands during the pre-purchase phase. Now, coming to the post-purchase, which is actually most important part, like you mentioned, post-purchase experience is extremely important for customer retention and to build trust. In that particular domain, in that particular area, ClickPost basically helps in tracking the information. Now, this tracking, for this particular tracking, we are again dependent on the logistics service providers, companies like Shadowfax and others. They have been wonderful in providing, the right tracking details. So ClickPost basically enables the internal team or the internal logistics team of these brands so that they can communicate with the service providers better. They can understand where exactly shipments are, and when they have that information, they can communicate the same to the customers as well. So this basically ensures that from customers' point of view, across every service provider that the brand is working, customer gets a uniform experience. Apart from that, in case there is any exception that comes in, it's extremely important to take customer's opinion and understand what customer wants to do with that shipment. This communication is again something that ClickPost enables. So ClickPost basically can be like a bridge between the end customer the brand, and the logistics service provider. So through this particular communication, a lot of exceptions, a lot of miscommunication that were there, maybe correcting the address or changing the delivery time and all, that can happen. That seamless communication can happen. So this is again a place where ClickPost helps. Apart from that, the complete visibility on if in case there is a stuck shipment or because of any reason there is delays and all those visibility is also something that the end customer gets because of ClickPost's communication, or the thing that brand can push through ClickPost.
Okay. So, and how has the sale period been this year? And it's actually still going on. So, how much of an impact in fact, this is for both of you, Ankita as well as Rohit. How much of the impact have you seen or have you made as within the organization during the same period? And are there any trends that you've seen which are different this year?
So talking from ClickPost our customers' point of view, we've seen compared to last year, sales have been higher, order volumes have been higher. If I just have to talk about the verticals which have seen the most number of order volumes, they were typically apparels and cosmetics. Both of them have seen a lot of numbers, a lot of orders that came in. Apart from that, few things that I want to highlight, which, where ClickPost has played an important role. So customer experience is definitely one area where ClickPost hugely impacts. We have seen that our EDD accuracy, that is mentioning the estimated date of delivery to the end customers, that accuracy has improved significantly. More than 90% of times we were correct. Even during the sales period, we were able to tell the customers when exactly their shipment might arrive. More than 90% times we were correct actually in that. Apart from that, one most important or one interesting trend that we noticed was the RTO percentage. Typically what used to happen is that during sales period, this RTO numbers used to increase, especially during the sales period. This year, there has been a slight change. We've seen that the RTO numbers have not significantly increased. They've either remained constant or just somewhere near. So that is another important thing that we have noticed from ClickPost point of view. These two things, that is, no change in RTO and the right estimated date of delivery. We have seen that probably this is the reason why customers' NPS or the delivery NPS has significantly improved. In fact, one of our customers have mentioned that their delivery NPS, it is similar to, what Shadowfax has, the delivery delight index, similar to that. So that has significantly improved. We have seen that companies who previously had, when they did not have ClickPost, they had an index of or NPS of around 18. They have now increased to 45. So this is where we have seen an improvement. And apart from customer experience, ClickPost also is a logistics management platform. So basically, we enable the logistics team as well to manage, or to streamline their internal processes. So that, in that area as well, ClickPost has seen that we had 100% uptime during the sales period. So this again has helped the internal teams to manage failed deliveries or to manage all the processes seamlessly, even, not impacted by the scale of orders that have flown. So that is again an area where ClickPost has helped the brands during the sales period.
Okay. And, so we have seen similar trends even with Vinculum in terms of our customer base, apparel and fashion and home decor. These have taken a big spike during the sale period. So, Rohit, would you like to share some highlights of, what trends you're seeing in the sale period?
Sure, Rachna. So, sale periods have actually been very interesting, and it has really strengthened the overall consumption story which is there for India as an economy. Right, we actually saw almost a 3 to 3.5x jump across brands in the volumes which they were doing, right? And there were 2-3 very interesting trends which actually emerged. And there is one difference which I actually saw between metros and tier 1, tier 2 cities. So in metros, what we realized is that express delivery actually became very, very important. And just to share an insight with you, we actually delivered iPhones within 35 to 40 minutes in some of the metro cities this time. Right, and it was a very, very strong wow factor. And what we are seeing is that in metros, the average delivery time which we used was not more than 18 to 20 hours from the time order is placed. The average delivery time, right, in metros. So there is a lot of great express delivery kind of an experience which Shadowfax was able to enable, right? And what actually helped there was our ability to provide flexible supply, right? So what we realize is that no matter how much amount of planning is done, a brand always ends up getting more orders than what they're predicted, right? And whenever they're getting more orders, right, we were actually able to provide a lot of flexible supply to manage the last mile and to ensure that the delivery happens on time. And that was a very, very strong delight factor, which we were able to introduce in the metro cities, right? When it comes to tier 1, tier 2 cities, what is interesting is that the average delivery speed, even for a remote area, is not going beyond more than 4 to 5 days. So the average speed at which even tier 1, tier 2 cities are running at is at between 3.5 to 4 days, which is very, very interesting, because generally this is a very, very tough time when there is less transportation available, even last mile fleet is not available, right? So some of the solutions which we also bring in terms of smart sortation, better planning around line haul, right, using a lot of prioritization basis expected delivery date. In fact, we use some of the insights from ClickPost also there. So I think there was a lot of strong learnings we were able to bring in the process this time, and the speed actually didn't deteriorate at all, right? And what we realized is that we also did some customer surveys ourselves. The expectation is that sale or no sale, I want my speed, right? So even a customer in a supposedly non-metro cities is like as sophisticated and as demanding as a metro customer today. And very soon we might see iPhones being delivered very fast even in these cities, maybe even next year, right? So I think speed was a real eye-opener, and the usage of technology, the usage of flexible supply, which platforms like Shadowfax provide, actually played a very, very key part, because the customer expectation is that I may order at any time and there might be any kind of a spike in orders, and it is expected that the brand will manage that, right? So I think the role which platforms like us play in terms of managing that flex became very, very important, and I believe that this story will continue even in the upcoming sale period.
Yeah, so good that you spoke about this, and sorry to digress a little bit, but I am a part of several WhatsApp groups, and one of them is, the CMO network. And there was a lot of this question around, why are brands promising express delivery, 2-3 hours delivery? How does it change the game? It's okay if it comes even after one day. I mean, who is demanding these kind of things? So I'm glad to hear that, there is a huge wow factor when it comes to delivering within a certain time frame or within few hours, and customers are demanding it. It's not that brands are essentially going above and beyond just to over exceed an expectation. It's also something which is coming from the demand side. There is a lot of heightened demand with respect to express delivery. And from what I can hear is, what I understand is, this is going to be a trend which is not just going to be limited for metros, but also to tier 1, tier 2 cities, right? So that's a big change. So maybe I just order and something is just there, like a local kirana who delivers grocery within few minutes, right? So that's the kind of trend that we may end up experiencing in the years to come. So great. So in the absence of middlemen, my next question is actually to ClickPost. So in the absence of middlemen, how are brands engaging shoppers during the post-purchase journey? I know that you have talked about this a little bit, but given that people are experimenting with different routes to reach customers faster, and again, I will just make a small reference to the delivery index that Rohit shared, the Shadowfax Delivery Delight Index, where the order to delivery time of shipments have reduced across categories. And to Rohit's point, the whole idea of express and hyperlocal deliveries becoming so common that brands have even started to monetize this as a service. So I just wanted to understand, what are the points where you engage shoppers during the post-purchase journey?
All right. So when you say in the absence of a middleman, typically, you know, when a brand starts their own D2C, that is, they are reaching out to the customers by themselves, one important thing that they basically own is the post-purchase experience. So they are now in charge of that post-purchase experience. They can design how they want to do. Now, every brand has a different different, you know, customer segment that they are catering to. Their customers might respond on different channels and all. If there is a middleman, there would be a standard way of communicating or reaching out to the customers. Now, in an absence of a middleman, this is what we enable for our brands. That is, they can reach out to their customers in a way that they feel is most suited. And they can get that data as well. They can, you know, see that data, get insights, what is working out well, what is not working out well. So they can basically own that post-purchase journey. Now, in this particular journey, we firstly help our customers to get or to make basically give a branded tracking page, which is basically, you know, an extension of the branded part that the end customer has been going through or has been seeing when they are shopping from the website. So an extension to that branded experience, that is the first thing that we provide. Now, apart from that, based on our experience and, you know, based on the surveys that we have seen that customers typically track their shipments at least twice or thrice during the journey. This is again, I mean, this data is again something that we utilized, and we thought that if in case you know, this is a good marketing opportunity for brands. So that is again something that we have enabled. So this is again one area where we have enabled our brands to engage with the end customers. You know, they can advertise other products during this process, since the end customer would definitely be coming and seeing where exactly the shipment is. So they might as well see, you know, additional upcoming sales or upcoming new products that have been launched and all those details. They can be redirected back to the main website. Maybe they can purchase more and it can lead to additional sales and all. They can even recommend some products, some best-selling products and all. So this is again one area that we have enabled our brands during the post-purchase journey. Apart from that, like I mentioned, different brands have different customer base. Some might respond to, you know, WhatsApp notifications. Some might be more responsive over emails or over SMS and all. So we basically ensure that brands can now customize the notifications. They can decide what channel they want to, you know, send out notifications, at what stage they want to send out notifications, and basically what notification they want to send. This is again very crucial. So say, for example, if it's an express delivery, brands want to notify that this shipment will be, you know, getting delivered in so and so time. They can do that. If it's a COD shipment, brands want to tell their customers that please keep so and so cash ready, or, you know, please be ready with the payment and all. They can do that. So all these customizations can be there. These notifications can be according to brands' requirements. Again, something that some way where through which brands can engage better with their customers. They can understand better. Apart from that, another important thing that we have is the vernacular support. So we have seen that, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people from tier 1, tier 2 cities have now shifted to tier 3 or maybe their, you know, hometowns and all. So orders have started to flow from there as well. And slowly, because the orders have started to flow from there, there are others also in those areas who are ordering. And for that reason, because there are new people getting associated with e-commerce, with D2C, we have started this vernacular support as well, while tracking the shipments. So people can track their shipments in their local language as well. So currently ClickPost is supporting more than 20-25 languages across India. We also have included global languages now because we have global customers, and these are again some requirements, so that, you know, customers can track where exactly their shipments are, what is the estimated date of delivery. In case there is any delay, even that can be communicated to them. So these are the areas, a few major important areas where ClickPost is helping the brand to engage with the end customers.
Awesome. I think that was a very interesting point you said. In fact, I've not even thought of this as a point, but now that you're telling me, I think it's very logical, right? Like with most people moving to their hometowns or who were earlier in metro cities and they've gone to the hometown, obviously their user behavior with respect to online commerce is not going to change just because they've gone to a smaller city. But they are essentially becoming the agents of change in that area and, making that change happen there. Awesome. Great point. So just on that same thing, and maybe Rohit, you did touch upon this briefly, but just wanted to check with you. So as you know, I have experienced same day delivery, especially in with respect to essentials or e-pharma or perishable goods like meat items, etc., etc. So I just want to understand, but now you know there are most of these brands which are now there is this tag of express delivery, you know, when you're doing upon checkout. So I just want to understand what is the thing where there is a need for, what is the importance of this express delivery for the D2C segment as a whole? And why do you think people are demanding something of this kind, which is like, how important is it in the whole scheme of things? If I have ordered for a bag, for example, I think I should be okay waiting for it, you know, for a day. Why is there a need to have an express delivery happening here?
Sure, that's a great question, Rachna. And fundamentally, I agree that not all categories may require a same-day delivery. At the same time, I would also kind of say that same-day delivery has to be part of the wider growth strategy of a brand, right? It is not an end in itself. So, because all said and done, same-day delivery tends to be costlier than a next-day delivery or a two-day delivery, right? And there has to be a good return on investment for a brand, right? Because ultimately they have multiple things to worry about. So we at Shadowfax believe in making a solution which is actually customized for various kind of use cases, right? So a typical way in which a same day delivery may make sense for a brand is that, for example, it's, let's say, a personal care brand, and there are 10 SKUs out of 500 SKUs which are like very, very fast selling, and that is, those SKUs are probably the ones where customer acquisition is the highest. Those are the SKUs where the new customer probably makes the most frequent purchases, right? So a typical scenario can be that they probably use a platform like Shadowfax or somewhere else just for these 10 SKUs. Maybe they create a dark store, maybe they create a tie-up with the physical retailer and use it as a customer acquisition tool. Because ultimately, everyone knows that there is a lot of competition for high of going to a horizontal platform rather than using the direct website, right? So this can be a very strong hook for a standalone website to attract that new customer, right? And once the customer is onboarded and once their first experience has been great, right, then they might actually be willing to try out the bigger part of your portfolio and even wait 2 or 3 days for it, right? That can be completely fine. And that way it actually becomes more of a marketing expense than a supply chain expense, right? Because honestly, just looking at it as a supply chain expense may not make complete sense, right? And so even at Shadowfax, what we do is that even when a brand decides to work with us, we actually offer a unified API where they can decide, where they can actually pass a simple flag to us that these are the shipments on which they want a same day delivery or a hyper local delivery, and the other kind of shipments where they actually don't want, where they want a normal delivery, right? And it is like completely flexible. We allow a lot of experimentation for people to do, right? And if actually someone wants to tie with us for an integrated dark store kind of an offering, we can provide that as well, where they can actually try out a variabilized model of stocking certain inventory and then just try that, right? And we actually use Vinculum very extensively as part of that, right? So the overall way in which I would suggest a particular brand to look at it is that it has to be seen as a customer acquisition tool and something which differentiates that first customer to use your platform rather than going to somewhere else, right? So I think that is how it may make sense. And of course, the use cases are going to evolve. So this is a capability and it has to be used creatively to ultimately drive your growth, right? And get the best ROI out of it.
Very nice example you gave as well. Thanks a lot for sharing that. So we're talking about, you know, timelines. We're talking about express delivery. So we've established that sticking to timelines is very crucial for greater customer experience. But how should brands stick to it when it comes to shipment delivery? So if there is something that Ankita you can throw lights on, that will be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now over here, I think there are multiple areas in which, you know, this the entire time would be calculated. It is not just the shipping time that is involved in, you know, getting the proper timeline or sticking to the timeline and all. There is also order to ship time. The time that brands take to actually, from the time when they receive the order till the time they dispatch it. So there's a significant order, there is a considerable time in that area as well. So the shipping time, where when the shipment is with any service provider, be it your own service provider or your, the third party logistics partner that you have signed up with, that time is something that I would say, I think Rohit would be more suited to answer that, how you can optimize that, how technology can help in reducing that delays. I would like to stick to the earlier one, that is order to ship related process. I think that is where brands should focus, because that is something that is in their, in their territory. Till that time, a shipment or the order is still with them, and they should make sure that that time gets minimized. Over there could be several automations. Definitely one would be that you need to have an integrated model. There should be no manual intervention anywhere. Data flow should be seamless and all. Now over here, from the logistics point of view, I would say that firstly, for every product or every order that has come in, make sure that your, that allocation strategy that you have, that which order should be, traveling through which partner or through which service and all, that particular allocation part can be automated. There should be some rules in place that, okay, if the order is so and so, probably express delivery is more suited, or there is, if suppose the volumes or the weight is crossing certain amount, maybe some other mode of transportation is more suited and all those rules can be configured. This selection could also be based on the past performance of your carriers, whichever ones the brand is working with. It can also be, even that part can also be incorporated in this particular selection. That is again something that I would like to say. Apart from that, all the other logistics related processes that is related to manifestation, shipping label creation and all, even those can now be automated. We have companies who provide all these shipping labels over APIs and all. So even that process can be streamlined, can be automated. So basically automation is the key here, where, this is that particularly, that's how you can reduce your order to dispatch time. After you have dispatched, definitely tracking and have more visibility around how your carriers are performing. Once you have that visibility, you can definitely feedback that information while you're selecting the right partner. So this is from ClickPost point of view, I think these are the essential steps that a brand needs to take so that they can stick to their timelines. Whether they stick or whether they don't stick, definitely giving visibility to the customer that what is the expected timeline, or what is the delay that might be expected in this delivery and all. Giving that information is another thing. That's again equally important to give to the customer. That visibility should be given to the customer as well.
And Rohit, would you like to add some points here from the shipment perspective as to what the brands can do in order to ensure that they stick to the timeline?
See, I believe that continuous learning process is very important, right? As I mentioned earlier as well, ultimately it is about going back to the first principles and taking enough resilience in our system to ensure that we are promising right? And what we also realize is that the system has to be very dynamic, in the sense that we know that, let's say, so there was a big problem in eastern part of India because of rains just the last month, right? So a system which can actually respond to that, incorporate that, and maybe adjust the customer expectations accordingly, right? So what we have seen is that the customers don't mind few days here and there when you're promising them, right? What matters is that in general, what is the experience which is being created and what is the stickiness which is coming in, right? Because they will have a general impression in terms of how a particular brand is performing, right? So I think just having that kind of adaptability and thinking customer first helps a lot, right? And of course, it is a tough job, and I found that customers are also pretty reasonable in their expectations, right? Ultimately, when it is a complete off versus what was promised is when they get angry, right? And which is justified as well. So I think that is how I will add to it.
So I think we've talked about the whole order to shipment process and how we need to essentially stick to the timelines, etc. We have another 15 minutes, and I want to dwell a little bit on the returns reconciliation and reverse logistics aspect. So again, I have just one use case around this, and I've been wanting to talk about it for a very long time. In fact, literally waiting to catch somebody to ask this question. So I'm glad that I'm asking this today. So for example, when I order something to wear, say for example, shoes or a dress, and the size does not fit, right? So, and I put in a return request, and I have to state the reason why I'm returning this item. It has a drop-down menu. I put down that reason, and except for, I think in my experience, except for Myntra, the guy who comes to pick up the exchange item also delivers the replacement item. So it's essentially Myntra enables an exchange in a mechanism that the different size. For example, if I opted for say size medium, and the size medium is too large for me and I need to go for size small, so I just say it's large. So then the person comes with a size small and the same beat when he's picking up the earlier item. Now, no one else does that. To my mind, that's a no-brainer, right? Because from a customer experience perspective, this is perhaps one of the basic things that you can promise a customer, especially when the size is a problem or there is a damage in the product. So there's a replacement. Why should I return it? Then, I get it updated in the app saying that, yes, it's been returned. And then you get another item which is sent to you. So the whole process is again, a pretty long drawn process. You're sending the person twice to your place. In fact, in total 3 times. So I just wanted to know, what will it make for a brand to optimize this entire process and make it more seamless? And maybe I would like to ask Rohit this question.
Sure. So again, a very interesting question, Rachna. And if you think about it, this is actually a replication of the offline experience. So when you purchase something from your neighborhood shop, right, you always have that option of going and exchanging that product, and he's very happy to just give you store credit or actually exchange the item, right? So this is something which actually has great potential of creating a really great customer experience. The only reason why it has not been so widespread is the complexity of implementing it, right? Because if you think about it, there are 2-3 complications which get involved in this, right? Point number 1, the inventory which is in transit at a particular point of time increases because there is a item which is there with the customer, and then you also kind of shared an item in transit, right? So whatever 3, 4, 5 days it takes for it to reach and then for the remaining amount to come back to you, to that extent, the amount of inventory holding you require tends to be higher when you're supporting an exchange kind of a process. There is also a risk that when a particular item is reached at the customer doorstep and when you're picking up the other product, that other product is incorrect, right? So there is a possibility that you may have to reject the other product for whatever reason. Maybe it is torn, maybe it is used, maybe the tag is missing, right? So in that case, in a way, then you have even that first product has to be returned back. So it further increases the cost of operation as well, right? And third complexity which generally comes is that just in terms of accounting, taxation, etc., because there is a possibility that there was a prior period sale and then this period sale will have to be accounted for, right? So but none of these are insurmountable obstacles. In fact, we at Shadowfy also have a product which enables any brand to start exchanging items, right? Where we can actually do a doorstep quality check of the product which is being returned, and on the spot we can give the new product as well, right? So again, probably for a brand which is a D2C brand, again they have like a lot of things which they would be focusing on, and probably that is why they may not have focused so much on the exchange. But what I believe is that it can be a very strong retention tool for a customer, right? So I talked about same day delivery being a customer acquisition tool. Probably I would say that this is something which increases the lifetime value of customer which is working with you, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Prefer Myntra over other platforms just because they have this feature, right? So maybe again using some amount of smart segmentation to maybe offer it only to select set of customers as a value add may make sense, right? It may actually reduce the risk of fraud, the risk of higher supply chain costs, as well as creating a great customer experience, right? Because it is easy to implement. So that may be one way of actually looking at it and actually deriving great value out of it. But I would really encourage brands to think about it as a proposition, because the solution for it is available in the market. Even Shadowfy offers a very good offering in terms of exchanging the products. But again, I would say that it should be considered as part of the overall growth strategy of the brand, and it has to be seen as a customer retention tool, because ultimately there is a money which is spent on retaining a customer, bringing the customer back. Can that money actually be used to offer this service and actually create an organic hook for your channel? And again, it can be a very strong differentiator against the horizontal platforms. So looking at this may actually make a lot of sense.
Definitely a strong differentiator, and as you rightly said, I would choose Myntra over another brand. So and so this other question, so similar, I would like to ask Ankita. So how does ClickPost ensure a smooth returns process? So you talked about the delivery part of it. So from a returns perspective, if you can just throw a little bit of light in terms of how your platform is enabling that, that would be good.
Yeah, returns is definitely one very important and significant use case, especially for the apparel world and for the footwear business as well. So these two are verticals. We have seen that there's a strong use case for returns and for exchanges. I think cosmetics and all, they don't have strong returns policy because of the kind of products they are selling. Even pharmacy and all, they don't typically have this policy. But yeah, apparels and for footwear, it's a strong retention, as well as even for building trust, that okay, this company is allowing me returns, probably I can trust this company and go ahead and purchase a product because it can be returned. So in order to enable returns for brands, what ClickPost provides is a seamless process where customers can create returns requests, be it exchange or be it returns. Customers can create their returns requests. So just like Myntra offers, similar to that, customers can go to my order section, they can select the SKU they want to return, the quantity they want to return, they can put in their pickup address. It could be different from the place where the shipment was delivered. It can be that as well. ClickPost can basically collect all the returns related information, why a particular SKU why the customer wants to return that SKU, in case brand wants to capture the images of the product, what exactly is defective, what is not working and all, even those details can be captured from the end customer point of view. So basically the entire returns request creation process can be mimicked with ClickPost for any particular brand. They need not have the call centers or some service emails and all where customer needs to go and log their returns request. Customers can be given a platform just like Myntra or any top e-commerce company provides. So this is one place where ClickPost helps. Coming to from the logistics point of view, that is for the internal company. Over there as well, ClickPost helps in making sure that brand has that flexibility to approve or reject any returns. So like Rohit mentioned that some set of customers can be given, or for some reasons customers can be given that option to exchange a product or to return a product. Now this particular process needs to be reviewed by the internal team. So that internal team has that visibility now with ClickPost. They can review every returns request. They have the flexibility in case they want to do this. They can review every request. They can decide whether they want to approve it or not. In case they want to approve it, the entire reverse logistics can be arranged for that brand. So that entire process can be mimicked just like the forward delivery process, where ClickPost will provide that visibility that which are the service providers providing reverse logistics, which can you select for this order, then tracking the entire shipment back to the warehouse and all, even that can be done. So this is how ClickPost helps in making sure that brands can have seamless returns process for their customers.
In fact, we have at Vinculum, we have a similar tool, which is essentially called WinReco. And what we have experienced is that across, e-tailing, brands experience, we all know, around 30% returns. And in our experience of selling the reconciliation tool, what we found was most D2C brands, the biggest pain point was that items that were returned were essentially missing. So it was missing inventory upon return. And it's almost like a wipeout of 5% of the GMV, because there are a whole lot of brands which are suffering with this pain point. So item has been returned, it's been logged, but after that, you can't find the item. And technology like WinReco, technology like ClickPost and technology like say a Shadowfax, these are essential elements in the entire post-purchase experience, which can actually not only enhance consumer experience, but also help you optimize your efficiencies in such a manner that you do not have revenue leakage. And I think that's also a very, very critical point in the returns and reconciliation journey. My last question now is to ClickPost. So what is the implication of COD on RTO?
Yeah, so COD, cash on delivery, basically, I think that's for brands, it's very essential to introduce COD, as a part of their growth strategy. Once they introduce COD, that is cash on delivery, that is when they start seeing more and more orders coming in, more and more areas that they can tap into and all. So COD is extremely important from the growth and to attain those scale, particularly to build trust and all. But yeah, it has a very negative implication on RTOs. Most of the customers or most of the people that I talk to, they always say that, our RTO percentage was around this much, but as soon as we introduced COD, it like doubled or tripled in some cases. So yeah, COD has huge implications on RTO. That is one area that we always say that, you always need to make sure that you are introducing your COD well. I mean, it shouldn't be for all the customers, or you have to be a little strategic in this particular management. That is how you manage your CODs, which customers you need to give. You need to have those kind of figures, numbers, and already you need to have that data basically so that you can introduce COD or you can allow COD to customers. Over here, I just want to add that, ClickPost, currently there are some companies, some logistics companies, which allow you to, edit orders. So you can convert your CODs to prepaid. So this is again some option that a lot of brands have started to explore, that they are converting their CODs to prepaid while the shipment is in transit. Because, a lot of times people do COD orders because they don't trust the brand. They don't know whether the shipment will actually come. I mean, there are so many brands coming in, so many new products that are being launched. They're not very sure whether the product will actually reach their doorstep. So firstly, you can allow COD to those customers, but yeah, you can give them a flexibility to change that, maybe when the shipment is out for delivery or when the shipment has reached the last hub and all, you can give some flexibility to the customers, give them that option that, okay, now that it has reached, do you want to change it to prepaid? Do you want to pay it up and all? Apart from that, I think another leading cause of COD shipments becoming RTO is that customers are not there to, pick that shipment. A lot of times they are either outside or a lot of these cases also happen. So you can't eliminate RTOs, COD related RTOs, but you can definitely minimize them. So this is another way that in which you can notify your customers that please be ready with so and so cash, whenever shipment has reached the last hub. So have that visibility as well. So these are few ways in which,
and in my experience, now that we're talking about it, my experience, two things have happened. So now there has been a situation where I typically do prepaid and I ended up paying doing a COD because it was a piece of jewelry and I just wanted to ensure that I'd seen it before I had paid for it. Okay. Right. And I bought that piece of coin, and then it so happened that I was not at home when it was delivered. But that guy sent me the picture of the QR code and I was able to pay remotely. So, I mean, I guess there are a lot of things which technology is now enabling, so many different options to pay. And there's also this pay later feature, which has now been set up even for people who are like me, who may be slightly skeptical about the brand and they won't want to see it before paying, etc., etc. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing this. Rohit, do you have any passing thoughts on this point, or do you want to just talk about something around the COD on RTO?
So again, RTO is something which no brand likes, right? This is a complete waste of efficiency in the system, right? And there is a high correlation which has been seen between COD and RTO, right? Because it just means that for whatever reason, if the customer just bought the item from somewhere else, or they just had a one-day delay, they might just decide to do an RTO against it, right? So, but I would not say COD is not necessarily the only reason of RTO. RTO may have other reasons, right? So What we've also seen is that address quality also plays a big part in RTO, right? A lot of prepaid shipments also end up coming RTO because of that. One more interesting thing which we are also seeing is that the whole UPI adoption is actually also playing a big part in coming up with a good hybrid, right? Wherein you don't need to have cash, right? But at the same time, you can actually make a UPI payment. So the rider actually carries a QR code on their app and the scanning can just happen. So because a lot of time earlier used to get wasted just because the customer will say that I'll just go to the nearby ATM, like I don't have change, right? So we have started seeing better conversion because of that as well. And I think that may actually be something which is like very, very India specific. This will not be found anywhere else in the globe, but I think a very, very India specific change which might happen, right? That people might just adopt UPI a lot for doorstep payment. So I think that is one thing which may become really big in the future. We are seeing very fast adoption there.
It's already happening. I can see that. Yeah. So thanks a lot. We now have around 10 minutes left. So it brings us to the end of the panel discussion, but we are now open for questions. So Sakshi, would you like to serve some questions? Do we have some questions right now from participants?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great.
So the first question we have is for Ankita, and the question is, when is it time for a D2C brand to invest in ancillary tech products?
So over here, I mean, it depends on the D2C brand. I mean, entirely at what phase they are. In case they already have a good presence in the marketplaces. Say they are a very popular brand in Amazon, or they have already been selling offline and all. In case that is the case, and they have just started their D2C operations, I would say that they should start investing in good customer experience right from the very beginning. That's because they have, I mean, the market awareness or the product awareness is already there. And it is just that they want to make sure that people start trusting their D2C channel as well, as much as they do it, maybe Amazon or any other, from any other place that they are buying. So I would suggest that they should start doing it right away, like at the very start. Maybe for brands who are just starting up or who have only launched their D2C operations, for those particular brands, maybe they might want to first focus on brand awareness or building that brand. But typically we have seen that whenever these companies start to do more than 2,000 to 3,000 shipments a month, they typically need to make sure that the customer experience is also taken care, and the post-purchase part also plays a significant role in, you know, scaling their shipments above 3,000. So I would say it depends at what stage you are, how much presence you already have, and based on that you can decide whether you should be investing in you know, a better post-purchase experience or not.
Okay, so Ankita, in addition to that, I have another question, that is, aggregators help us offer a good customer experience. Why do we invest more in this, and how does all this affect customer retention?
Yeah, so again, aggregators will not allow you to own the post-purchase experience. So whenever I'm saying that you can provide a good customer experience or, you know, a delightful customer experience, I always mean that if in case you are not owning that customer experience, if it is not an extension of your brand, when a person is shopping on your brand website, if that experience is not an extension of that, it'll again not be as delightful as probably Myntra or Amazon provides. So there again, ClickPost or, you know, any other company which is providing a branded experience will come into picture. This is how we are different from an aggregator. Apart from that particular thing, you will have more flexibility on, you know, maybe you're working with an aggregator and some other courier partners as well, or some other service providers as well. There won't be any uniformity in the customer experience. So maybe an aggregator is providing you that experience, or maybe an aggregator is providing your customers that experience, but the other service providers are not able to provide that experience. So there won't be any uniformity, which again leads to, you know, not a good experience for your customers. So this is again a place where, I mean, which you can avoid using a platform like ClickPost, which will unify all your service providers, making sure all your customers get a similar kind of post-purchase experience. They know where their shipments are. They know, they have the right notifications, and it'll be completely branded as well. So you can own that part, and you can you can have a unified experience as well.
Thank you so much, Ankita. So the next question is for Rohit. So Rohit, there is this buzz in the market around 30 minutes delivery. So how is Shadowfax managing this?
Yeah, so actually two major things there. So one is the tech infrastructure which we have built is actually suited for automatically understanding. So the way our system works is that will have a integration with the Google Maps. They will know that what is the time it will take to go from that pickup point to the delivery point, and the system will identify in real time whether the delivery can happen or not, right? So I will send a signal to the client that yes, I can do this delivery. Once I get a confirmation, I will actually do a automatic allocation of rider to the order, right? There is no manual step involved there, and then the rider will just go pick up and do the delivery to the customer, and it will completely be available over map as an interface. So I think that is the customer facing part of it. I think at the back end, one more thing which we have done is that, so one thing which is very, very important is using a lot of historical data to build in very, very strong prediction models around traffic, rains, time of the day, to have a very, very good estimation in terms of what will be my accuracy, right? And our systems actually work on more than 99.5% accuracy today in terms of predicting whether the delivery can happen in 30 minutes. One more thing which we have done is on the partner side, where we have ensured that our platform offers the best experience for a delivery partner, right? So we actually call it as a super app for our partners, wherein they can just register with our platform and they can start working for food, grocery, e-commerce, anything, right? So it is a one-stop destination we have created for them. And we are working on ensuring that the partners get the maximum earnings on our platform, while at the same time giving very, very good cost per order to our clients, right? So I think that is the kind of platform which we are enabling for the partners, because that is also one of the fundamental necessities for ensuring a 30 minutes delivery to happen. We cannot wait for a rider for maybe more than half a minute or a minute. The rider has to be available every minute, right? So it is very, very important to create this two-sided marketplace which kind of feeds in one into the other. Where we are using a lot of data sciences and demand aggregation to ensure that we have very, very good models around allocating the orders to the riders. At the same time, creating a very, very great experience for the partners, so that Shadowfax is the #1 platform of choice for them, right? And that is something which we take as one of our key priorities. So I think those are the two planks which we use to actually enable 30 minutes delivery for a lot of partners in the market today.
Thank you, Rohit. The next question is also for you, and it's how easy is it to start the logistics through own website?
It is very easy today, honestly, right? So one of the very interesting things which has actually happened in the market today is that you just need a great product, right? There are so many solutions available around creating websites, creating interfaces with so ClickPost has done a great job, Inclim has done a great job in actually making a lot of interfaces easy for the brands to start. I think when it comes to logistics, so for example, what Shadowfax offers is a unified API where anyone who starts working with us can actually do hyperlocal deliveries, e-commerce deliveries with a single token, right? So it is actually very, very easy and abstracted for anyone to just register with us and then just start delivering, right? And we actually offer a lot of flexibility with regards to the time at which you want the delivery, as well as the cost at which you want the delivery, and we can actually make a customized solution for you, right? So it's a very, very efficient plug and play kind of a method, and be it exchange, be it returns, be it hyperlocal, right? We actually